Hello, dear listener, welcome to this quiet space, a gentle pause in the rhythm of your day, as we prepare to drift into the tranquility of the night. Tonight, we shall embark upon a calm and contemplative journey into the profound world of art. Let us allow our minds to soften, our thoughts to become like the slow, meandering current of a peaceful river, as we explore this timeless facet of human existence. Art, in its most expansive and embracing definition, is a truly diverse tapestry of human endeavor. It is a cultural activity, woven from the very essence of our being, centered around works that breathe life into creative or imaginative talents. Think of the quiet flicker of an idea, the whisper of an image, or the stirring of a melody within the mind's eye. These are the seeds from which art springs forth. And what is the expectation of these works? They are created, often, to evoke within us a worthwhile experience. A moment, perhaps, of profound connection, of subtle understanding, or of a simple, beautiful resonance. This resonance can manifest in myriad forms, through the sheer emotional power that a piece might hold, through the intricate dance of conceptual ideas it presents, through the breathtaking display of technical proficiency, or simply, through the serene, undeniable grace of beauty itself. Yet, dear listener, even with such a beautiful and encompassing description, there is no single, universally agreed upon definition of what truly constitutes art. Isn't that intriguing? Like a shifting mist on a mountain peak, its interpretation has gracefully altered its form throughout the long corridors of history and across the vast and varied landscapes of human cultures. What one era or one people might have revered as art, another might have understood differently. This fluidity, this gentle refusal to be confined, is perhaps one of art's most enduring and enigmatic qualities. In the Western tradition, our minds often first conjure images of the classical branches of visual art. Picture, if you will, the serene stillness of painting, where colors and forms merge on a canvas to capture a fleeting moment, or an eternal truth. Or imagine the solid, tactile presence of sculpture, carving form from stone or metal, allowing light to dance upon its contours. And then there is architecture, the grand and enveloping art of creating spaces, structures that define our existence, offering shelter, inspiration, and wonder. But the realm of art extends far beyond these visual anchors. In a broader, more inclusive embrace, the arts encompass the vibrant energy of theater, where stories unfold before our very eyes, the eloquent movement of dance, speaking without words, and the boundless universe of literature, where thoughts and emotions are carefully crafted into narratives and poems. Music, too, with its ethereal harmonies and rhythms, holds a central place, alongside the moving images of film, and the dynamic, engaging forms of modern media, such as interactive experiences. Each of these, a unique language, a distinct pathway to the human spirit. It's fascinating to consider, isn't it, how the very concept of art has evolved through time? For centuries, until the whisper of the 17th century began to reshape our understanding, the word art held a much broader meaning. It referred to any skill, any mastery, any expertise. There was no stark differentiation, no clear dividing line between what we now call crafts, or even the sciences. A baker's deft hands creating a perfect loaf, a carpenter's precision in shaping wood, or an astronomer's skill in mapping the stars, all might have been spoken of as arts. This reflects a deep and ancient respect for human capability, a recognition that any cultivated skill, honed through practice and dedication, possessed a certain artistry. But then, as if a gentle dawn broke, revealing new subtleties, modern usage after the 17th century began to draw a distinction. Aesthetic considerati. The contemplation of beauty and taste, became paramount. And so, the fine arts began to emerge, separated and distinguished from acquired skills in general, such as the decorative or applied arts. This was not a judgment of lesser value, but rather a refining of focus, a recognition that some skills were primarily oriented towards utility, while others were dedicated to evoking experience, emotion, and intellectual engagement for their own sake. This shift, dear listener, marked a profound change in how humanity perceived its own creative output, giving rise to the very discussions we are having tonight. The nature of art itself, and the intricate concepts that intertwine with it, such as the spark of creativity and the gentle unfolding of interpretation, are not merely matters of casual discussion. They are deeply explored, with a quiet intensity, within a specialized branch of philosophy known as aesthetics. Aesthetics, in its essence, is the study of beauty, taste, and art. It delves into the very core of our sensory-emotional values, trying to understand why certain forms, sounds, or ideas move us, delight us, or challenge us. It asks, what is beauty? Is it universal, or does it reside purely in the eye of the beholder? What makes something art, and what makes it simply an object? These are ancient questions, pondered by some of the most profound minds in history, and they continue to resonate with us today, inviting our own quiet contemplation. The resulting artworks themselves, once brought into being, become subjects of dedicated study in the professional fields of art criticism, which seeks to evaluate and illuminate individual works, and the history of art, which meticulously traces the journey of human creativity through time, revealing patterns, influences, and transformations. In the sweeping perspective of the history of art, we find that artistic works have accompanied humankind for almost as long as we have existed. Imagine, if you will, the flickering shadows in a prehistoric cave, illuminated by firelight, revealing images of bison and deer, painted by hands thousands of years ago. From these early prehistoric expressions to the vibrant, often challenging forms of contemporary art, a continuous thread of human imagination has been woven. Yet, some discerning theorists, in their quiet contemplation, suggest that our typical, modern Western concept of artistic works might not perfectly fit or fully capture the essence of creative expression outside our modern societies. This invites us to gently open our minds, to recognize the rich tapestry of human expression that exists beyond our own immediate cultural frameworks. Indeed, an early sense of the definition of art is profoundly rooted in an older Latin meaning, which softly translates to skill, or craft. This ancient understanding aligns beautifully with words we still use today, like artisan, the skilled craftsperson whose hands bring forth beauty and utility. And if we listen closely to the echoes of language, we can hear this ancient meaning still present in words such as artifact, an object made by human skill; artificial, something made by human artifice rather than nature; artifice, cleverness or skill, and even in phrases like medical arts, or military arts, referring to the honed proficiencies in these vital fields. However, like a multifaceted gem, the word art has many other colloquial uses, each with some gentle connection to its deep and resonant etymology. Over the long epochs of human thought, philosophers of immense stature have gently wrestled with the elusive meaning of art. Minds like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, and Immanuel Kant, among countless others, have turned their profound gazes upon this subject, seeking to understand its essence. Let's consider for a moment the ancient wisdom of Plato, whose dialogues, like quiet conversations echoing through time, often tackle questions about art. His teacher, Socrates' wit, his characteristic blend of irony and insight, mused that poetry, that most ethereal of literary arts, is not born of cold, hard reason, but is rather inspired by the muses themselves, a divine gift. He spoke approvingly of this and other forms of what he termed divine madness, listing experiences like drunkenness, eroticism, and dreaming in his dialogue Phaedrus. These states, he suggested, opened pathways to understanding that rational thought alone cannot access. And yet, the very same Socrates, as depicted in Plato's Republic, curiously proposed to outlaw the magnificent poetic art of Homer, and even laughter itself, from his ideal city. This apparent contradiction, this subtle tension, allows us to gently ponder the power of art, its capacity to uplift and inspire, but also, in certain perspectives, its potential to sway or mislead. In another dialogue, Ion, Socrates gives no hint of the disapproval of Homer that he expresses in the Republic. Here, the dialogue subtly suggests that Homer's Iliad, with its epic tales of heroes and gods, functioned in the ancient Greek world much as the Bible does today in the modern Christian world. It was seen as divinely inspired literary art, a wellspring of profound stories that could provide moral guidance, if only it could be properly interpreted, if only we could quiet our minds enough to truly listen to its ancient echoes. This highlights art's enduring role not just as entertainment, but as a moral compass, a vessel for collective values, a mirror reflecting our shared humanity. Aristotle, Plato's brilliant student, brought his own meticulous and observant mind to the subject of art, particularly concerning the literary and musical arts. He considered epic poetry, tragedy, comedy, dithyrambic poetry, a type of choral hymn, and music to be fundamentally mimetic, or imitative, arts. This concept of mimesis, or imitation, is central to his philosophy of art. But Aristotle, ever the scientist, observed that these imitative arts varied in three distinct ways: by their medium, by their object, and by their manner of imitation. Consider the medium, for instance. Music, with its intricate patterns, imitates with the ethereal media of rhythm and harmony. We feel the beat, we perceive the rise and fall of notes, and through these abstract patterns, emotions and narratives are evoked within us. Dance, in its pure form, imitates with rhythm alone, the body moving through space, a silent language expressed through motion. Poetry, on the other hand, imitates with the power of language, crafting words into imagery, sound, and meaning. Then there is the object of imitation. The forms also differ in what they choose to imitate. Comedy, for example, is a dramatic imitation of men, worse than average, portraying their follies and weaknesses, often to elicit laughter and provide a gentle critique of human nature. Tragedy, in stark contrast, imitates men, slightly better than average, portraying noble characters facing profound struggles, often leading to catharsis, a release of pity and fear within the audience. This distinction offers a profound insight into how art shapes our understanding of human character and destiny. And finally, the forms differ in their manner of imitation. This could be through narrative, where a storyteller recounts events, or through character, where actors embody roles. It could be through change, where a plot unfolds and transforms, or no change, in a more static tableau. And fundamentally, it is through drama, where action unfolds before us, or no drama, in a more descriptive or lyrical form. Aristotle, in his profound wisdom, believed that this very act of imitation is natural to mankind, deeply embedded within our being. He saw it not as a mere copying, but as a fundamental human drive, and indeed, as one of mankind's distinct advantages over animals. Through imitation we learn, we understand, we empathize, we create. It is a pathway to knowledge and a source of deep pleasure. The more recent and specific sense of the word art, as an abbreviation for creative art, or fine art, as we touched upon earlier, gently emerged in the early 17th century, like a new star appearing in the firmament of human understanding. Fine art, in this context, refers to a skill that is used primarily to express the artist's deepest creativity, to engage the audience's aesthetic sensibilities, that subtle capacity we have for appreciating beauty and art, or to draw the audience towards a gentle consideration of more refined or finer works of art. It's about a conversation, a connection, a shared experience beyond mere utility. Within this latter, more refined sense, the word art becomes a wonderfully multifaceted term, capable of referring to several interconnected aspects. Firstly, it can denote a study of a creative skill itself, the rigorous practice, the quiet dedication, the patient learning required to master a medium. Think of a painter tirelessly studying light and shadow, or a musician dedicating countless hours to their instrument. Secondly, art can refer to a process of using that creative skill, the act of creation itself. The brushstrokes on the canvas, the sculptor's hands shaping clay, the dancer's body moving through space, the writer's pen flowing across the page. This is the living, breathing act of bringing something new into being. Thirdly, it can refer to a product of the creative skill, the artwork itself. The finished painting, the completed sculpture, the performed play, the composed symphony, the bound book of poems. These are the tangible results of the creative journey. And finally, and perhaps most profoundly, art can refer to the audience's experience with the creative skill, the moment of connection, of interpretation, of feeling that arises when we encounter an artwork. It is the silent dialogue between the creation and the perceiver. Thus, the creative arts, understood as disciplines, are a collection of human endeavors which produce artworks, understood as objects. These objects are compelled into being by a deeply personal drive within the artist, an inner necessity to express, to communicate, to share. And when these artworks meet a perceiver, they convey a message, a mood, or a symbolism, inviting that perceiver to interpret and to engage with their own inner world. At its core, dear listener, art is something profoundly human. It is that which gently stimulates an individual's thoughts, stirs their emotions, challenges their beliefs, or ignites their ideas, all through the delicate gateways of our senses. Works of art can be explicitly crafted for this very purpose, intentionally designed to provoke and connect. Or they can be interpreted as such, based on the images or objects themselves, finding meaning and resonance even if the original intent was different. This dynamic interplay between creator, creation, and perceiver is what gives art its living, breathing quality. Let us delve a little deeper into this stimulation of the senses, for here lies a fascinating intersection between philosophy and the quiet wonders of our own biology. When we gaze upon a vibrant painting, for example, light waves, reflecting from the pigments, enter our eyes. These physical stimuli are then translated into electrical signals, traveling along delicate neural pathways, reaching the visual cortex deep within our brains. But it is not merely the raw data of color and form that registers. Our brains, these miraculous organs of perception, immediately begin the profound work of interpretation. Memories are triggered, associations are made, and emotions begin to stir. A particular shade of blue might evoke a feeling of calm or melancholy, drawing on past experiences, even if we are not consciously aware of it. The composition of the painting, the balance of its elements, might resonate with an inherent human preference for harmony or rhythm, principles that are aptly embedded in our cognitive structures. Similarly, when we listen to music, the sound waves vibrating through the air are captured by our ears, transformed into signals that traverse auditory pathways, eventually reaching the brain's processing centers. Here, pitch, rhythm, and timbre are disentangled and rewoven into melodies and harmonies. Music has an almost unparalleled ability to bypass our rational defenses and directly access our emotional core. The brain's limbic system, often referred to as our emotional brain, lights up in response to music, releasing neurochemicals like dopamine, which is associated with pleasure and reward. This is why a soaring crescendo can fill us with euphoria, or a melancholic chord can bring a tear to our eye, even without a single word being sung. This experience is not merely subjective, it is rooted in the complex electrochemical dance occurring within our neural networks. The conceptual ideas conveyed by art also engage our brains in a rich and intricate manner. When a piece of art presents a challenging idea or a new perspective, our prefrontal cortex, the seat of higher-order thinking, becomes active. We begin to analyze, to question, to form new connections between existing knowledge and novel input. This cognitive engagement is a form of mental exercise, expanding our capacity for abstract thought and critical reasoning. Art, in this sense, is not just a passive experience, it is an active dialogue with our intellect, gently pushing the boundaries of what we know and how we think. Consider, too, the technical proficiency that we often admire in art. The precise brushwork of a master, the intricate details of a sculpture, the complex choreography of a dance. These feats of skill speak to the human capacity for learning, practice, and mastery. Observing such proficiency can evoke a sense of awe and respect, triggering reward pathways in the brain. It reminds us of the potential within ourselves, the satisfaction that comes from honing a craft, from transforming raw talent into refined skill. This admiration for technical mastery can be a deeply inspiring experience, reinforcing our belief in the power of human dedication. For some profound scholars, such as the aforementioned Immanuel Kant, the sciences and the arts, while both vital expressions of human intellect, could be distinguished by their fundamental domains. Kant proposed that science, in its noble pursuit, primarily represents the domain of knowledge, striving to understand the objective truths of the universe, to categorize, to measure, to explain. The scientific method, with its rigorous observation and logical deduction, seeks to build a coherent, verifiable understanding of the external world. The arts, on the other hand, for Kant, represented the domain of the freedom of artistic expression. Here, the emphasis shifts from objective truth to subjective experience, from external reality to internal vision. Art is not bound by the strictures of scientific proof. Instead, it revels in the boundless possibilities of imagination, emotion, and individual interpretation. It is a space where the human spirit can soar unfettered, creating worlds and experiences that may not conform to empirical laws but resonate with deeper, more elusive truths about what it means to be human. This distinction is not about superiority, but about different yet equally essential ways of engaging with and understanding our existence. Science illuminates the how, while art often explores the why and the what it feels like. Often, if a skill, no matter how refined, is being used in a common or practical way, serving a direct utility, people will tend to consider it a craft rather than art. A beautifully crafted piece of pottery, designed for daily use, might be admired for its artistry but categorized as a craft. Likewise, if a skill is being utilized predominantly in a commercial context, with the primary aim of selling a product or service, it might also be distinguished from fine art. This highlights the subtle, sometimes blurry, line between intention, utility, and aesthetic purpose. The intent of the creator, and the context in which the work is presented and consumed, often plays a significant role in how we categorize it. As we gently drift towards the close of our contemplation, let us remember that art, in all its forms and definitions, remains a profoundly personal experience. The quiet resonance of a poem, the subtle shift of light in a painting, the lingering echoes of a melody, these are not merely external phenomena. They are invitations to connect with something deep within ourselves, to unlock our own thoughts, emotions, and interpretations. Art is a mirror, reflecting not just the world, but our own soul's landscape. It is a language spoken across centuries, across cultures, uniting us in our shared humanity, our capacity for wonder, for beauty, for sorrow, and for joy. Allow these thoughts to settle gently within your mind, like soft dust motes settling in the twilight. Feel the calm, the quiet understanding of art's enduring presence in our lives. As your breathing slows, and your body relaxes deeper into your bed, know that the human spirit's capacity for creativity and expression is boundless, a source of endless fascination and comfort. May the beauty and depth of art inspire your dreams, guiding you towards a restful and peaceful sleep. Good night, dear listener. Sweet dreams.